For the first time this year, it's a full Saturday of college football in 2024. And for the first time, but certainly not the last, Kevin Walsh is going to hate what I do. Three's up for our third and final hour here on college football today.
Hold on. Now listen.
Yeah.
You're doing the fourth up thing last year because we had the fourth hour. While it was ridiculous, it was expected.
Right.
It was understandable, right? You're a college football guy through and through. Every program does it, so why wouldn't our program?
Right.
Three's up feels wild.
I used to do threes up, though, back when it was just a 3-hour pregame show.
It was so long ago.
Yeah, it takes a while. But it's still pretty good. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens here on this first full Saturday of the 2024 college football campaign. 67 FBS college football games on this first full Saturday. It is day 3 of a 5-day consecutive stretch throughout Labor Day weekend to kick off week number 1 in full. 4 ranked teams in action today that we will break down here in this segment. And it starts with Tennessee at home on Rocky Top inside Neyland Stadium, taking on Chattanooga, an FCS foe. And as you can see, the Volunteers, a hefty favorite, 38.5 the first start in Knoxville for a man known by many names here on CFT, quarterback Nico Iamaleava, who takes over the reins of Josh Heupel's offense for the Vols. Kev, earlier today, you're going through your notes, you're breaking down this football game, you're trying to attack this very one between the Mocs and the Vols. Where did you end up?
Confused, annoyed, frustrated. College football is such a unique sport to bet. Because you will see these numbers, 38.5, and be like, it's too easy, right? What do you mean too easy? Yeah, I think laying 40 feels too easy. Because, and this might be the gap. If you look at last year's performances for the Vols against teams of a comparable level to Chattanooga, they were not covering in those football games. Yeah. But I am viewing this year's Tennessee as much closer to the Hendon Hooker version of Tennessee. Sure. And that's why I have this team in the college football playoff. And it's why I think Nico could very well end up getting himself in that high.
Nicky Treats. A man of many names. I didn't even mention one because I didn't know about it. Was that off the top of the dome?
When you were going through many names, I was trying to find a good one, and I realized that,
Nicky Treats.
Well, he's got a couple treats for us today, a couple touchdowns today against Chattanooga. Okay. I think that they can easily score 60 on this team. If you go back to, again, the Hendon Hooker team, they played Akron 63-6 with ranked Florida on deck. No problem. That's an over and a cover. Week 1, they played Ball State with a ranked trip to Pittsburgh the following week. No problem. 59-10. I think that this is going to be much closer to the Hendon Hooker team. So this feels like Tennessee and over. They play NC State next week. I'm not worried about that look-ahead spot. But for some reason, it feels too easy, which you're not supposed to say. I've hesitated, but I do think the Vols should win this by 45+.
They should, and I think you just brought it up. That not the look ahead, but the game with NC State next week, right? That this isn't Joe Milton. This isn't Hendon Hooker. You still have Nico in there. He started the bowl game. Quarterback Nico, all right? I'll leave the pronunciation to our great host over there in regards to the breakdowns. But that's the reason why I think they dominate this game, because you want to get that continuity. There's not a lot of game experience, and you want to build it as much as possible, along with the 2 running backs that they lost last year, right? Wright and Small are now playing in the NFL. Dylan Sampson was the third down back for much of the year, very productive, but this was still an offense that averaged well over 200 yards per game. That's the bread and butter. I think it continues today. I think they pour it on, and again, I think Nico's in there till about the 3rd or 4th quarter, depending upon the outcome.
So the first start for Nico Iamaleava today in Knoxville. And to Kevin's point, in 2022 with Hendon Hooker, knowing the offensive mind that is Josh Heupel, they were the best scoring offense in the country, 46 points per game, best total offense, putting up 525 yards per game. It was through the aerial attack. Last year, though, in Knoxville, better on the ground, 205 rushing yards per game. That was top 10 in college football. Nico Iamaleava can do a ton. 151 yards and a touchdown and 3 rushing scores in his first start as a true freshman against Iowa a season ago in the Citrus Bowl. And speaking of Iowa, They are favored at home today against Illinois State in the season opener, a 21.5-point spread now. And public bettors, I am oh so proud of you. That 40.5 total is no longer. It is down to 38 and a hook of the 67 FBS college football games that we have today. This is the lowest total on the board. It will also be, Joe Lisi, the first time inside Kinnick Stadium since November of 1998 that Kirk Ferentz is not on the sidelines as the head coach for the Hawkeyes. He is going to miss this game, a self-imposed one-game suspension by Iowa Athletics for recruiting violations that led to the recruitment of their quarterback, Cade McNamara. So Kirk Ferentz out for this football game, enters year number 26. Seth Wallace takes over as the acting head coach for this matchup. Will it matter at all for the Hawks?
I think it will, because I broke down the stats last night. 15 points per game by Iowa. Offensively, that wasn't the defensive side of the ball. They held opposing offenses to 14 yards, 14 points per game. But it comes down to Tim Lester and the new offensive attack. He's trying to implement a more wide-open type of scheme, but Cade McNamara have struggled in regards to the spring game and struggled in regards to his last outing. 7 of 21 completions, less than 100 yards. Same old Iowa to me, guys. I'll tell you what, off principle alone, I'm going to take Illinois State. I hope they win and strike the upset in Kinnick Stadium.
Here's the thing. I see these Iowa games. I throw my hands up.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I get angry and I end up betting the over. I might just do that again. Why not? I don't know. Maybe with parents out there, they're allowed to play offense.
It depends, right? Tim Lester takes over. Kamari Moulton now stepping in as the lead running back, despite some returning talent at that position group for Iowa. It doesn't really matter. Phil Parker is the best coordinator in college football, and Iowa's defense is going to be so good again. The most returning production in the Big Ten this year, 79% of their team is back. 9 of 11 starters for that defense a year ago. The 5th best total defense, the 3rd best scoring defense, only allowing 13.2 points per game. And as compared to the other 5 top 5 scoring defenses in the country, or the other 4 ranking inside the top 5, Iowa was on the field for at least 105 more snaps defensively than any of the other top 5 scoring defenses. Now let's keep it rolling here. Ole Miss against an FCS foe as well in Furman. Hefty favorite, Kev, are the Runnin' Rebs to start off 2024. And there's a lot of optimism for this team in Oxford this year. Will that expectation be matched at least as a 42.5-point favorite against Furman?
It's a big number. I'd probably rather take the points. For Ole Miss, there's little to no motivation here to run this thing up. It's not about style points against Furman. Next week's Middle Tennessee. I mean, I'm sure they're excited. I'm sure Kiffin would love to get Jackson Dart in that Heisman conversation. But that's going to come in the win-loss column, I think, a little bit, just because you know the statistics should be there enough for a Kiffin type of offense here. It's just an odd schedule, man. I know it's a little big picture, but, I mean, the first ranked team they play is October 12th. Kentucky, South Carolina. It's an odd one here. Don't love this game.
I would lay it. I think they're going to tack a 70 spot on. We talk about Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, and Watkins, the 2 leading wide receivers, come back. You get Logan Diggs and Henry Parrish now to lead the rushing attack. And again, you want to build depth. We saw UCF put up 464 rushing yards against New Hampshire. I honestly think Ole Miss can do that against Furman. I think they tack a 70 spot today.
Caden Prieskorn, the outstanding tight end, back as well, in a defense that got a lot better, at least talent-wise, in the transfer portal. K-State, 37.5-point favorite against UT Martin. Here's what you need to know. Avery Johnson takes the mantle as the quarterback in the Little Apple. 8 games last year, 5 throwing touchdowns, 7 more on the ground. We'll talk some more QBs next on CFT.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, they will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton's actually the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Our 3 games of the week to start off the first full Saturday of this college football season in order chronologically. It's the top 15 tilt at noon Eastern time in the ATL. It's top-ranked Georgia taking on 14th-ranked Clemson. Then this afternoon on a Saturday in the Swamp, Florida hosts 19th-ranked Miami, and then prime time inside Kyle Field, the debut of Mike Elko's tenure as Texas A&M's head coach. It's 20th-ranked Texas A&M against 7th-ranked Notre Dame. Those are the games themselves, the matchups that will take place, but we focus first and foremost on the most important position on a football field. That is the quarterback. And we start with the game at noon Eastern, the ranked versus ranked matchup, a top 15 showdown between Georgia and Clemson. And Lisa, guy, when you look at the props for this game, wildly different expectations for both of the quarterbacks entering. Could it be the defense on the other side or just how the offense has performed a season ago? Carson Beck, 3rd leading passer in college football last year, more than 3,940 passing yards. His passing yards prop is even higher than that number, 268 and a hook. Cade Klubnik on the rise ever so slightly, but still less than 200, in fact, less than 190. How do you compare these 2 quarterbacks today in Atlanta?
Well, I think the edge definitely would go to Carson Beck, and we talk about Georgia in regards to the offensive line protecting him, number one, and how balanced Georgia was. They averaged 305 passing yards per game. Carson Beck stepped up with 5 performances over 300 yards, guys. Again, they won those games by an average margin of victory of 26.6 points per game. And on the flip side as well, their defense, I'm talking about Georgia, held opposing quarterbacks last year. 54% completion percentage, only 175 passing yards per game. Cade Klubnik had only 2 games where he threw for over 300. Miami, they lost that, and Charleston Southern, not a very good look. I lean to Carson Beck to blow through his number today.
Yeah, my thing with Klubnik, and this was part of the reason I found myself not in on Clemson, right, Miami within the ACC, is I know they went on that great winning streak, and give them credit. And you know, with Dabo, it's easy to knock him, and listen, I won't stop people from doing it, but they're sitting there, 4-4, and they won out. I mean, that takes something to do. When you are a program that's supposed to have national title expectations, you know you're not going to get there and rally across the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, Lincoln Riley didn't do that, right? With USC, those guys kind of rolled over. With that said, in that run, I wanted to see more than, okay, we should give Dabo some respect and all the defense. I I wanted to see Cade Klubnik delivering on the promise. And it appears that we now have another instance of a incredibly hyped-up prospect from Clemson not hitting. Watson obviously hit. Trevor Lawrence was incredible. DJU, I'll never understand what in the world happened with DJU. Yeah. And it's now going to be the same story with Club. Where's the rushing ability we were promised? Yeah. Wasn't this kid a track star or something? It just doesn't pop, and that's my thing here. I'm on the over because I'm prepared to be wrong.
Right.
Maybe year over year he figures something out, and I think they can kind of give us a boost that way in the game, Clemson. But big picture. We don't talk about Klubnik in the Heisman Trophy race at all, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, and that's really the story for this Clemson team. Will they get back to the heights where they experienced to start off the college football playoff era? 2015 to 2020, 6 consecutive ACC titles, 6 consecutive college football playoff appearances, 2 national championships in 2016 and 18. In all 6 of those years, one of the best offenses in the country, at least a top 3 offense in the ACC. Last year, less than 30 points per game. If you want to have some optimism, it's Cade Klubnik, year number 2 fully as the starter in Clemson with a returning offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley as well. I will say about these 2 defenses, though, they are 2 of 5 FBS programs that in each of the last 5 full college football seasons have held opponents to less than 20 points per game. It's Clemson, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State. It's why the total, I think, is sub 50 today in Atlanta. Let's go to the nightcap of these primetime games that we have in College Station. It's another top 20 tilt. Texas A&M welcomes in Notre Dame. 2 familiar names at the quarterback spot. For the Aggies, it's Connor Wigman. Played in 4 games last year, only 3 that he was fully healthy. For Riley Leonard, it's his debut with the Fighting Irish against his former head coach at Duke, who, as Coach Bowden said, Lisi, should know some of those tendencies for Riley Leonard. Both have experience, both pretty banged up a season ago. Kev, we go to you first. You like Notre Dame plus the points. I think you have to trust in the veteran experience that Riley Leonard possesses, even though it's his first game for the Irish.
It's because Riley Leonard, I think, has a safety valve that Wegman doesn't have, and that's the ability to run. I'm not saying Wegman is immobile, but last year you look at Riley Leonard against Clemson, right? 17 of 33, $175, no touchdowns, no picks. 8 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. His touchdown run in that game was one of the most, eye-popping plays of the opening weekend, fully. And he has done that consistently against those top opponents. Last year, I know you'll say, it dropped off. He was injured. People keep talking about the foot injury. Right, the foot's not still injured.
Yeah.
Maybe, now, if a re-injury appears, obviously that would be devastating to Notre Dame football this season. But I think they can trust Leonard on the ground, Joe, in a way, and that A&M just doesn't have.
Absolutely. So I think if we're looking at the passing totals, right, I would favor Connor Wegman because he's more of a prototypical drop-back passer. But I'm with Kevin. I think that Notre Dame wins this game because of Riley Leonard in regards to the RPO game, where obviously he can put pressure on that perimeter in terms of Texas A&M and take that game over. We know that Marcus Freeman wants to run the football consistently. They average well over 180 yards per game. Now you have the running quarterback, something Sam Hartman didn't do. So give me Leonard over the rushing, and I'll take a shot with Connor Wegman trailing to go over the yardage.
Notre Dame has been a top 20 passing defense in both years under Marcus Freeman. It is not an easy secondary to face for Connor Wigman tonight at A&M. We've got some veteran quarterbacks as well in the matchup in the Swamp. Quickly here, Lisi. Graham Mertz, 244.5. Cam Ward, the transfer from Wazoo, 256.5. You lean Florida in this football game. What does Graham Mertz have to do?
300 plus, and I took it already because he's the more experienced quarterback playing in the same scheme, Kev. That matters, especially at home.
Daniel Jones. All he did was protect the football last year. He didn't figure it out. He's not that good.
Ooh, interesting take on Graham Mertz. A Sunday hyper next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, they will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Special programming alert live right here on this Saturday on College Football Today. It is that 5-day glorious run through Labor Day weekend to kick off a new season in college football. So with a marquee matchup tomorrow night out in Las Vegas, a top 25 tilt between USC and LSU, the boys will be back right here live at 9 a.m. Eastern time all the way until noon for a special Sunday edition of College Football Today, recapping the entirety of this 67-game slate from the first full Saturday of the year, setting the stage for Sin City on a Sunday between the Trojans and the Bayou Bengals, and a game on Monday, Florida State back stateside, hoping to bounce back from the Dublin debut for the debut of Bob, that's Bill O'Brien, the new head coach at Boston College. So as we build the hype and excitement for Sunday, it is our 3rd ranked versus ranked matchup that we have, LSU and USC. The Tigers 13th in the country, USC 23rd. Lisi guy, when this line opened, it was closer to a touchdown in favor of the Tigers. It has come down to only 4 and a hook. And I think most people will look at the total first and foremost, 64.5. High-powered offenses a season ago. Terrible on the defensive side of the football, but new defensive coordinators in both spots. What are your early thoughts for tomorrow night's game in Las Vegas?
It's going to come down to the trenches, and you heard LSU offensive tackle Will Campbell come out, and he said, we know what to expect, Ben. We're going to expect a street fight, right? A fist fight. Whichever team I think can run it and stop the run ultimately wins this ball game. You have 2 different and new defensive coordinators in terms of Blake Baker for LSU, Kev, and Lynn that comes over from UCLA to take part and really shore up that USC defensive front. And we have 2 quarterbacks, right? Miller Moss for USC and Garrett Nussmeier. But again, it comes down to Brian Kelly, in my opinion, a much better head coach than Lincoln Riley. We could debate that. He's 30-14, dating back to his days at Notre Dame on the road or on a neutral field site. He's lost back-to-back road games. It's year number 3. And I just think LSU has way too much talent. When you look at the running backs, Caleb Jackson, you look at John Emery and Josh Williams, I think they run it right down USC's throat in this matchup.
So I think because we have all this time.
We're all this time.
All this time.
I think Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley are 2 guys that I would rank inside the top 5 active head coaches in college football.
No doubt.
So Brian Kelly respect is not something that I have beef with whatsoever. I don't understand. I still don't. The way, and you're not going to get out of this, even though he's the one who said it. The way you two have talked about Lincoln Riley since he left Oklahoma,
yes.
You would think you were both born in Norman.
I
don't understand it. I know they fell short last year of all expectations. But the way you two were didn't start in the middle of last season. He showed up at USC. You sold the whole thing. He went to a Pac-12 title game, and Caleb tore his hamstring in the first quarter.
Yep. So, all right. So I'm gonna rebut that because what is the big game that Lincoln Riley's won? And wait a second. We talk about Ryan Day being born on third base, right? Taking over the program for Urban Meyer. What did Lincoln Riley do? He lost in regards to the college football playoff in the second half with an 18-point lead against Kirby Smart. Got out game planned, right? He had Baker Mayfield. He loses to Matt Campbell at home against Iowa State and loses the ball game outright. He loses in the Pac-12 championship game with Caleb Williams, goes, 6 losses last year. Where is the marquee win for Lincoln Riley on his resume? Where?
I mean, they did go to Ohio State and beat that team back in 2017. Look, a lot of Notre Dame fans dislike when BK left. I still like BK. But again, when you tell me he's 10 times better the coach than Lincoln, when everybody told me Notre Dame was a fraudulent program who can't beat any
But he went to the college football playoff not once, but twice.
Lincoln!
But he had that program was already going there. That program
the guy
was
produces
already
nothing
going
but number 1 overall picks at the quarterback position.
Born on third
Were you the
base.
one who gave Malachi Nelson the advice to go to Boise?
I did. I give him the bag of cash, too.
It's going to be fun tomorrow. That's all I got to say, right? For that marquee matchup, and we will get further into the debate. Lincoln Riley, one of 7 active FBS head coaches that has an 80% win percentage or better in college football, 74-18 in 8 years as a head coach. And they are still great on the offensive side of the football. Miller Moss, now the heir apparent. 2 guys that kind of bode their time in their respective programs. Garrett Nussmeier takes over for LSU. And we will also talk about the game on Monday tomorrow. How does FSU bounce back in week number 1 in its second game and another ACC showdown against Thomas Castellanos in the first game for Bill O'Brien as the head coach of Boston College? But before Sunday, in the game on Monday, our betting cards for this first full Saturday of college football. Next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton's actually the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It is the first full Saturday of this 2024 college football season. It's Joe Lisi, it's Kevin Walsh, and I am Ben Stevens. We are just about a half an hour away from the noon Eastern time window that kicks off this Saturday in week one of the 2024 campaign. You see behind us what the theme of this is, but it is betting cards for week number one. Don't read the fine print behind our heads. And we will start with the mastermind. Mastermind, are you ready to deliver for the people that have been waiting 2.5 hours for your betting card here in week number one of 2024?
I am. Let's start in the big matchup, Georgia and Clemson, 12 p.m. kick. We saw this line now move from 13.5 down to 12.5. Still like Clemson in regards to covering the spread, but I really like the over 48.5. You're getting a point discount down from 50 and 49.5 respectively. The ability of Carson Beck and that offense, I think, to attack Clemson secondary over the top will put pressure, guys, on Cade Klubnik, and I think he can score as well, whether it be in garbage time or whether it be early on dictating the tempo. I think we sail through this 48.5 point number a little bit later. I actually altered it up to 58.5 in regards to plus money, so we'll see how that plays out. I'm all in regards to Vanderbilt. I told you, and even though Vatek has the experience, we talked about 80% of the productivity coming back. They struggled on the road or on a neutral field last year, 3-4 straight up. Vanderbilt still SEC caliber talent for the most part, even though they were 2-10 overall. Ken Seals comes back, the quarterback. He's a consistent quarterback. I'll take the 13.5 points. They might not win, but I think they cover against Drones and the crew. Plus, Brent Pry, especially in early season games, a little inconsistent from an offensive perspective. Give me Vanderbilt in regards to that matchup. I really like Florida. Again, I know both coaches are on the hot seat. I know Cam Ward is a dynamic player, stepped up in regards to Washington State, but it's still a new scheme. His first game comes on the road in an SEC environment, and we talk about Billy Napier, 11-14 straight up, but 9-4 straight up at home in the Swamp. To me, that's the difference, coupled with the fact that Miami under Cristobal last year, 2-4 on the road or on a neutral field site. I think the Gators are chomping, and Graham Mertz does, in fact, step up in regards to that matchup. Big ball game in Texas A&M and College Station. I know everybody's raving about Mike Elko and Connor Wegman. I just don't see it. We talk about Marcus Freeman, 10-4 straight up on the road or on a neutral field. Not only that, I think they have the more complete quarterback and better defense. I think they win this ball game very close. I think 24-20, it trends to the under in regards to this matchup. I mentioned how dominant Alabama's been in terms of week one environments. Yeah. They can win, but they might not cover, especially when you have Jalen Milroe minus Isaiah Bond and all of those playmakers. Best cornerback as well, Caleb Downs, is now playing for Ohio State. TJ Finley battle-tested, got the victory as a 27.5-point dog last year in regards to Texas State over Baylor. Give me Western Kentucky to cover against Alabama in this matchup. I'm all in regards to Texas Tech.
Do it.
Bing, bing, bing. I took them. I said it. Not you, not him, me. Texas Tech wins the Big 12 this year. They have 9 starters coming back. Brennan Morton, the quarterback. Taj Brooks, one of the most productive running backs in the Big 12. They have a defense as well that's very physical. Joey McGuire in year number 3, I think gets it done. Their schedule lines up for them potentially to start the year 6 or 7-0. Very high-powered offense. They started slow last year. Give me Texas Tech in regards to this matchup. And then what's that? Georgia State. I like Georgia State in regards to this game. Kevin and I talked about it. No disrespect to Haynes King and Georgia Tech, but they might still be celebrating with an under-the-radar blue-collar team. I could see Georgia Tech winning, but Georgia State does cover the inflated 20.5-point number.
I like those looks, Lacey guy, for Georgia State against Georgia Tech. Ping, ping, ping. Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders, who have Taj Brooks back, one of the leading rushers from a season ago. As I counted, a 7-play card for one mastermind of the pigskin, I think only to be upstaged by an 11-play card for week number one.
It's early.
Okay, Dubs, also ping, 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 firing from the very start.
I mean, imagine I showed up without double digits. That would be – rumor said they would have had to drag me off set. Let's get into the mix here. At noon, You get Penn State and West Virginia. CFT full alum, maybe not for West Virginia, but B-Ruts, sorry, hope you're not watching, brother. Over 14.5 rushing yards for Drew Aller. 4 of 5 of his last games to close out the year. He had 28-plus on the ground. Bringing in Kotelnicki is going to lead to more rush attempts for Aller, who slimmed out over the offseason, and head coach James Franklin said will be more mobile this year. And it is that Aller-Kotelnicki combination that has me excited about what Penn State can be on the offensive side of the football this year. And I'm selling West Virginia. I know they surprised people, but not against the best teams, against the best defenses they faced. In the biggest games they played in, that Garrett Green offense did not show up. 17 against Narduzzi and Pitt, 15 against these Nittany Lions, and just 20 against Oklahoma last year. I think they top out at 21, and I think Penn State is into the 30s in this football game. At noon, it's Georgia, it's Clemson, it's brother-in-arms. Myself and Joe Lisi love the over 48.5, and I think BWS is going to get in the mix as well, as he should. Georgia is going to be able to get to 40-plus in this football game because I know that everybody is suspended. I don't think that's good for Clemson. I think it's a motivated Kirby Smart. I was at the window a couple of years ago on Dan Lanning in Oregon to cover against Georgia. Whoopsie! Learned a lesson that day. Nobody else learned it, apparently. That's okay. Beck and the Bulldogs will be looking to run it. And I think there is a level of unknown with this additional season under the belt for Klubnik and Riley to come out here. This is such an important game for these guys that I do think they will be able to put up enough points to get us through this number, even if it's just 35-14. I think some of those alts will be coming home for good old Joe Lisi. Big game certainly between Miami and Florida. I'm all about the U, specifically running back Damian Martinez. 70-plus rushing yards is at -120. This number is likely on the climb, so be it. Last year, the top two backs from Florida, in Chaney and Parrish Jr., combined over the 11 games that they both played, 18.5 carries for 103.5 yards per game. I think Martinez could get more carries on his own, and again, you saw what he did. And he's a better running back, and it's a better offensive line. This kid could average 100 on the ground, and I think he can go for the century mark here today in this game. And I should also bring up, because, again, we got a lot of plays, we got a lot of time, Notre Dame plus the points. My hand was forced. You know, the other day, we was talking to our good friends over on Sirius XM Radio, Mad Dog Sports, and they were asking me about this game, and I was still leaning towards Texas A&M, and I feel like I gave the people misinformation. I promise I didn't, but I was pushed. I was pushed to the edge. A full 3 on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who can draw even if not pass all of the areas that you try and sell yourself on A&M. Quarterback, Leonard Wegman. I'll take Leonard. Coach, Alco Freeman. I'll take Freeman. Defense, I know the Purdue kid skirting. Yeah, we're skirting out of the way of that, but it's, you know what I mean? A little bit of mix there. Watch out for Love out of the backfield. Here's the story. Benjamin Morris and Howard Cross will absolutely ball out in this game. A&M's going to struggle to get to 20 points in this football game. Notre Dame plus the 3, because it's always Notre Dame plus the points, BWS.
One of the concerns for Notre Dame, we didn't really hit on in our game breakdown, is the offensive line. It is very, very young. Only one returning starter, and Nick Scorton, you are right, from Purdue, comes over. A guy that had close to 8.5 sacks, I believe, a year ago for the Boilermakers. Again, Mike Elko is a great defensive mind. I expect this defense to be good. The total reflects that. It's 47.5 on both sides. That would be the concern, I think, for Notre Dame.
I just want to say this, and again, this is how things shift, right? The offensive line concerns is part of the reason Notre Dame was left out of my CFP.
Yeah.
But it's also now, probably like, hey, man, I don't know if LSU has any juice at the wide receiver position this year. You'd be like, well, that's probably not the case.
Yeah.
This is what Notre Dame does, man.
Right.
It's big hog mollies up front. Proud to be an ND fan on a day like this, plus the points. Come on now.
We'll continue the betting cards up next on College Football Today.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, they will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
The betting cards for week number 1 on this first full Saturday continue. The mastermind already gave you his 7 picks. I believe you're halfway through your 11
Something
plays
like
for week number 1 on this Saturday. I'll give mine after K-Dubs wraps up. We'll give you our best of all the bets. And then before the show wraps up, as we send you into the week 1 slate, we'll look at the 3 marquee matchups that we see today. The games of the week. First up in Atlanta between Georgia and Clemson. Then to the Swamp we go, Florida and Miami. And we round it out in College Station with the top 20 tilt between A&M and Notre Dame. Continue with your week 1 betting card.
Yeah, let's run it and rip it so BSS has plenty of time here. Trevion Henderson and Kinshawn Judkins, anytime touchdown scorer parlay. I try to leave the touchdowns usually off of the card, even the parlays off the card. You have to get in the mix with this one. Akron, however you say it. It's a tricky word all of a sudden. Listen, the team is terrible, and the Zips are going to give up 1 million rushing touchdowns in this game, which means they're going to make sure that these 2 superstars get into the end zone. If they don't, it's because James Peoples scored about 4 touchdowns. 12-1, go for the loot. Don't miss out now. Quinn Ewers, under 282.5 passing yards against Colorado State. I know their secondary is bad. It's not about that. It's about not being a power team. In Sark's tenure at Texas, 6 games against non-power teams. His quarterbacks in those matchups average just 193 yards per game in the air, 194.2 to be exact. He's never seen a quarterback throw for over 260, so I'm looking for an under on Ewers. I'm also looking for an under on Kyron Drones passing yards at 222.5. This is a sneaky one, but we could see some rain today at Vanderbilt. And Kyron Drones only once last season on the road threw for over 220. The biggest factor is a gimmicky Vanderbilt offense that could resemble a service academy, which could bleed this clock and keep chances away from Kyron Drones and the pass attack for Virginia Tech. 2 sides on the card over there. Hawaii plus 14.5, minus 120. I do think the Rainbow Warriors, back-to-back games on island, can mitigate the fact that usually a team who played in week 0 is at a disadvantage. Plus the fact that Hawaii was getting a lot better as that game went on against the Delaware State team, I think is creating some value for us. Georgia State, brilliant spot, plus 20.5. Totally agree with Joe there. Selling Tech off of not just that win, but that travel, man, coming over from Dublin where they did do the Dublin debut.
Of course.
I think it's a great spot. And lastly here, Oklahoma State, South Dakota State, under 54.5. I do not trust this FCS offense with all that they lost coming up against an Oklahoma State team that returns a ton of production on both sides of the ball, which means the defense as well. Their linebacker core is top 10 country in the country level. I don't want to say Iowa level. I almost did just to get a rise. But it's a really, really great linebacker core. They'll hold South Dakota State in check. Oklahoma State will look to run the rock there. We're going under 54.5.
I like all of those looks. I will start with a side as well. What the Maryland Terrapins do better than most in college football, it's win in non-conference play and cover numbers. Under Mike Locksley, who took over the reins back in 2019, the Terps 11-4 against the spread in non-conference action, 9-3 ATS, one of 5 FBS programs in the last 3 years to cover in 75% or more of their non-con games. Now an 18.5-point favorite against Connecticut. Don't love that, but Maryland, I still think, wins this game by 3 touchdowns. Another number that is on the move. Total between Texas and Colorado State up by 8 points to 60.5. Unlike Kev, I actually think Quinn Ewers takes advantage against a bad Colorado State secondary that allowed nearly 250 yards per game, third worst in the Mountain West, and a team that really wasn't great defensively, allowing nearly 30 points per game. Whether it's Ewers, and then he takes a seat, or Arch Manning, as Texas is a 34.5-point favorite. I like the total to the over between the Rams and the Longhorns because I think Colorado State, despite Texas being a top 15 team scoring defensive-wise a season ago, is going to put up some points. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi and his top target, Torrey Horton, return under year 3 for Jay Norvell. And the CSU team scored at least 24 points in its 2 non-conference games against power competition a season ago. I also looked to what was the smallest total of the game of the Saturday slate to begin, but now slightly on the rise. Northwestern and Miami of Ohio under 40.5. To the lakefront we go on the shores of Lake Michigan. It's year 2 under David Braun for Northwestern, an 8-win football team a season ago. Under 40.5 against the reigning MAC champs Chuck Martin and Miami of Ohio. 6th best scoring defense in the country last year were the Red Hawks for Miami. And Northwestern against other teams that ranked in the top 10 or top 25 that they played in terms of scoring defense a season ago. 4 of those 5 games under 31 points or less in those 4 unders. Now let's hit some props and we focus on the ground. Jalen Milroe over 38.5 rushing yards against Western Kentucky. Not a great defensive team. They give up a lot of points. I expect Alabama to strike early and often to show what Milroe can do under Kalen DeBoer. Some of that will come through the air, but Milroe last year, more than 530 yards on the ground, 10 rushing scores, and Alabama uncharacteristically gave up 46 sacks a season ago. That was bottom 10 in FBS college football. They bolster the offensive line this year for the Crimson Tide under DeBoer. I think that will only lead to more rushing yards for Milroe. Sacks in college football taking off the rushing yards totals of quarterbacks. Not as many this year. Riley Leonard over 33.5 against a good A&M rushing defense that was tops in the SEC a year ago and should be good under Mike Elko. But Riley Leonard, 3 games last year against power conference competition, at least 88 yards on the ground and 3 total touchdowns. He finds his way over 33.5. And this is my best bet of the day. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the transfer from New Mexico against his former team in his debut in Tucson for Arizona, over 66.5 rushing yards. Against Montana State last week in the debut of Bronco Mendenhall, the Lobos allowed 362 yards to an FCS foe. Krosky-Merritt has a big day. Kev, your best bet of all the bets for week number 1.
Drew Allar over 14.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to really surprise people today. It's the category I'd love to get involved with the alts the most. I think he blows through the 14.5, John.
Yeah, mine's Napier and the Florida Gators, baby. I think Mario Big Chest and the Canes are frauds.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards before the noon Eastern window begins, which is less than 12 minutes away. So we look at the big 3 games of the day on this first full Saturday on CFT next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies, would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We are just about 5 minutes away from the start of the noon Eastern slate on the first full Saturday of this 2024 college football season. The mastermind, Joe Lisi, OK Dubs, Kevin Walsh, and myself, Ben Stevens, are 3 games of the week for this first full Saturday. And we start with the final game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, a primetime kick and a top 20 showdown in College Station. It's 20th. Texas A&M against 7th-ranked Notre Dame. The debut for Mike Elko as the head man of the Aggies. It's year number 3 under Marcus Freeman. Kev, A&M, a 2.5-point favorite against the Fighting Irish. We know it is always Notre Dame plus the points. Yeah. The game represents a lot for 2 CFP hopefuls this season.
And that's such a big point there. I am on Notre Dame plus the points here. Once this number got to 3, which is key, and that kind of pushed me in this direction, I had to play the Irish at that number. But it's a good time to remind people, this very cruise back here tomorrow, same time, 9 to noon. We are going to be going and giving you another edition of college football today. The first time we do the double up on this big weekend here. And we're, of course, going to preview LSU, USC, all you want. But I would say the betting favorite on what we open that show with tomorrow is this football game right here. And I wanted to take a chance to ask the both of you, because, look, it's such a – we're trying to do as much as we can with these games, right? But you both have Notre Dame in the college football playoff. And I guess I'll shoot it back to you, Joe, first. If they do lose this game, if you and I are wrong here today as 2 guys that are back in the Irish, how much does that hurt their chances of making the playoffs?
Well, it always hurts in regards to a Week 1 matchup, but again, it is an SEC opponent, and they do have the schedule in regards to Florida State on deck to make up for that along with USC. Because what happens tomorrow night, if USC knocks off LSU, there's always the body of work, Ben, to get back into this thing. If you're going to lose in regards to not just this year in the college football playoff, but in years past, you want to lose early as opposed to losing late. So I think there's definitely room to lose this game. You don't want to lose it right out of the gate, but they could still get back in this thing.
10.5 is the win total for the Irish. The juice is on the under at minus 170. It's the same exact price for Notre Dame to make the college football playoff. I don't think Notre Dame loses this game. I look at the plus 126, but even if they do, Kev, part of the debate around Notre Dame in the new era of the 12-team college football playoff format, are they losing out or is it a benefit? They are not in a conference. They remain an independent program. They can never earn an automatic bid nor earn that opening round bye. but with 12 spots and 7 at-large berths, I think this benefits Notre Dame tremendously. It's why I believe Notre Dame, really regardless of this result, but obviously it would be a huge plus for the Fighting Irish to win, is a college football playoff team this year. Shall we go to our next game at noon Eastern? Let's make sure we get to it in Atlanta. Top 15 tilt, 14th ranked Clemson takes on number 1 Georgia. Lisi guy, this number is on the move drastically in the last 48 hours. When we started, it was 12.5. Now that number updated just over double digits, 10.5 point spread in favor of the Dogs.
I would still take the double digits in regards to Clemson and Dabo Swinney because they have something to prove. The extra weeks and months of preparation, I think, will benefit them. But ultimately, it comes down to the quarterbacks. Cade Klubnik, Carson Beck. That's where I give the edge, Kev, to Beck. 305 passing yards per game. I think that'll lead to the over as well in this matchup. But I am taking Clemson with the points.
Our only disagreement is I would much rather bet Georgia in this football game. I think I've found myself respecting Clemson a little bit. It's why I'm not laying the number here. I think this is points. If you're looking for some additional sizzle here, I took Oscar Delp and Benjamin Urisic each individually for 50-plus yards. I think one of those guys leads this team in receiving today, and if that's true, they're getting through the 50 marker.
Urisic plus 250 to find the end zone as well. The tight end transfer from Stanford. I agree with you guys. He's fired up. Over 48.5. I think we start conversations this season with Georgia offensively. Now we go to the Swamp. Just a 2.5 point spread in favor of 19th ranked Miami in the Sunshine State Showdown against the Gators. Kev, UF at home, the first of 5 ranked opponents that will make their way into the Swamp this year. You are high on Miami. What do you want to see out of the Canes today?
Damian Martinez, I'm on him for 70-plus rushing yards at minus 120. I think people are going to realize that Cam Ward is a quarterback, and that's why he gets a lot of the headlines, but you're going to see a spot here where Damian Martinez runs. I think it leans towards the under. Of course, I'm on the U in this football game. On him to win the ACC, on him to win a national title.
I think Mario Big Chest in Miami. I said it before. They're frauds. They struggled on the road last year. They're going to struggle here. And I'll say this. Billy Napier, 9-4 straight up in the past 2 seasons. Best bet on the board, plus the 115 money line. Give me outright over Miami.
The Gators last year just 2-5 ATS as a dog in year 1 under Napier. They were 5-1 against the spread. We'll see you tomorrow on College Football Today, special Sunday edition starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. He's Kevin Walsh. He is Joe Lisi. I'm Ben Stevens. Week number 1 Saturday starts now.
Football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports.